today, the magazine that I'm interviewing you for is called STANDOUT Marketing. So one of the greatest challenges for businesses, and we're launching this magazine globally, is that it's standing out. You know, this is a noisy, crowded marketplace that we're all playing in now, you know, digitally, even offline now. It's hard to know where to place yourself and where to be present. And when I was doing the research for this interview, I love, the book Return on Relationships. I think this is the forgotten area of the world as far as marketing goes these days, is people have forgotten that you're having a relationship. They actually think they're having, in my opinion, a relationship with their computer rather than the person that's sitting on the other side of that computer. And so you've written a book on the topic. So can you explain to business owners listening what the book's about and why they've got to get this, why this is so important for them?
Let me explain to you where Return on Relationship came from. I've always been a relationship guy. And my whole life, I was always taught to believe that I was what you call a networker. You know, I meet people, I connect with them, I reconnect with them. What I've really come to understand, and mostly in the last 5 to 6 years, is that much more than being a networker, I'm a community builder. And one of the things that I believe is a big part of Return on Relationship, and we'll get to that in a moment, is that a community, a network gives you reach, but a community gives you power. Networks connect, communities care in every respect. I mean, to make it is the most basic that people can understand. You live in a community. You live in a neighborhood. Yeah. Your neighbors watch your house. Even if they don't like you, they're going to say to you, there was someone around your house. Oh, you were away this weekend, Robin. Your kids had a party. I mean, or if the kids do have a party, they know they're going to be like, shh, because if my neighbors see, they're going to tell my mom. Yeah. And there's whole overwhelming or over-encasing value that comes from being connected to other people within that community. So for me, I was working for a company called, so again, back to the beginning, I've always believed in relationships. I've built them everywhere I've gone, literally every place, every camp I've been to, every school I went to, every job I've had. I've walked away with, at the very least, one very strong relationship, very often multiple relationships. And then what I found that I do, and all my friends know each other, because I'm a community builder, because I bring them together. And my friends are from all walks of life. The godfather of both my kids is a New York City cop, retired New York City police officer, who worked for me for a while doing security, who became my friend because I would ride in the front seat with him. I would help him fix a flat tire if it happened when he drove for me. And then he became the godfather of my kids, whereas I have friends who are senior partners at the largest law firm in the world, and they all know each other because I bring them all together. And I've always learned from the value of relationships. I had a father who made me shovel the snow off the walk of our neighbors, and how dare me if I took a nickel. My neighbor used to slip me money in my back and say, "Don't tell your father I gave it to you." and my dad was the guy that pulled over and picked up garbage cans in the middle of the road, somewhere where we didn't live. And then as I got older, I was the guy that had to get out of the car and move them. And I'd always look at him and go, "Why are we doing this? We don't even know these people." He said, "It's not about that. It's about doing good, and it will come back to you because you will build a reputation for someone that does things for others without expectation of anything back in return." And, he looked at me and he said, and this is where I took it. I say right now that a brand is what a business or a person does. A reputation is what people remember and share. And this is so important for small and medium businesses because their reputation is everything. I mean, a large company can get past reputation. They're the biggest, they're the best, they make products. And Apple has a great reputation, but a lot of people would still buy Apple products even if they had a bad experience because they love their Macs or they love, but with a small business, the odds are you're delivering a service that many, many other people can deliver, or you're selling a product that's a commodity other people can get. And really what it comes down to is the user experience, the customer experience, and how you feel about the person, whether that person is the owner or that person is the person that represents the company, the person that you work for. So I really valued this. And I was at a company called Elf Cosmetics back in 2008. And they were a small business. They had built to about $5 million in sales selling cosmetics, mostly online. And when I joined them, I brought them into the social media world. We grew the business to about $50 million in 2 years. And they consequently, after I left, the business is a multi-billion-dollar business at this point. And we had zero marketing budget. We used strictly social channels. And all they kept saying to me, because yes, they let me do what I wanted. I was very lucky. It was 2008. It was early. I sat down with guys like Jeffrey Hazlett, who was the CMO of Kodak, and Barry Judge, who was the CMO of Best Buy, and they were breaking ground with social media. But there was a lot they couldn't do because they had lawyers and shareholders.
Yeah.
We brainstorm, and I'd say, well, this is really cool. They go, well, you try it. And I got to try a lot of these new things because I didn't have to worry. But the owners of my company still wanted to see results because my time was forget about just what you're paying for marketing dollars. My time was involved. And I kept putting them off, saying they're like, well, when are we going to sell to people on social media? I go, it's not time. It's our reputation we're building there. It's word of mouth we're building there. It's engagement with consumers we're building there. And one day they put me to the line and they said, Ted, what's the ROI of all this time that you're spending on this? And I looked at them, and this return on relationship idea was going around in my head, but I'd never really written about it. I didn't even tweet about it yet. Yeah. And I said, guys, it's a father and son. And thank God there's only 5 minutes left in the meeting. I said, it's not just about ROI. It is in the end. But what we're talking about here is ROI, return on relationship. And the return on relationship will enhance your return on investment. And they just went quiet. And I'm thinking, oh, man, I'm fired.
They're not taking it.
I'm there for a few minutes, and they look at me. They're nodding their heads. They go, return on relationship. And they look at their watches, and they go, we have another meeting in like 3 minutes. So can we get back together at the end of the week and talk about this return on relationship thing a little bit more? And I'm like, and I walk out, and I go right to Twitter. And this, again, 2008, early days, I had about 2,000 followers, which was considered big. And I tweeted out, it's not just about return on investment. It's about ROR, return on relationship. And my Twitter feed blew up. And by the way, this is the way I test a lot of ideas now. I tweet them out. I tweet out things in the middle of the night when it comes to me instead of writing it down. By the time I wake up in the morning, I see, did people retweet it? Did people comment on it? Did they hate it? Did they like it? And by the way, hating it is not always a bad thing. Yeah. It's a conversation. But people love this. And and then I started expanding on it, and then I would reply to them. And I learned every time I talk, I add more to the concept of return relationship, even when I'm doing an interview like this, because something new comes to me. Yeah. And I started growing the idea, and it really took on a life of its own. And I finally came around this kind of definition where I like to say that return on relationship, which you can refer to either as ROR or the hashtag I use, RONR, for return on relationship. And there's a story behind that too. Simply put, is the value that is accrued by a person or brand due to nurturing a relationship. ROI, return on investment, is simple dollars and cents, but ROR is the value, both perceived and real, that will accrue over time through connection, trust, loyalty, recommendations, and sharing. And this is really important, because what companies don't understand is this is all happening whether they're paying attention to it or not. Yeah. Okay? ROR is greater, in my opinion, than ROI, because ROI will match a fixed period of time, or perhaps, it will become income related, whereas ROR will have a halo effect, meaning, two projects can have the same ROI, whereas one done with better relationship management will have an added benefit of satisfied customer or relationship. It's like 1 plus compassion is the way I look at it. Yeah. So the next question becomes is, people say, how do you measure this? Yeah. And we could do a whole conversation about this, so we'll probably get to the details of it another time. But first of all, let's understand that there's common sense that goes with, if you have a relationship with somebody, they are more likely to do business with you than if you don't. If someone likes you, they're more likely to do business. There's an old expression that says, everything being equal, someone will do business with the person they like versus the person they don't like. And then they say, everything not being equal, people will more likely do business with people they like than people they don't like. So true. So there's not only the common sense and the judgment part of this goes into it, but it's also measured through organic engagement, community management, sentiment monitoring. How do people feel about your brand? What's your net promoter score? What's your share of voice? And so much more. And I like to say it all comes down to one word: value. How do your social media efforts create value for you as a brand and for your audience? How do your face-to-face efforts with your customer, whether it's in-store, on the street, at an organizational meeting, add value? What prompts that person to come back to either your social channel or any other place for that matter that you're looking to drive them to. So social marketing, or marketing in general, in my opinion, is less about driving traffic and much more about attracting traffic. Because when you drive something, you're working much harder at it than when you're attracting something.
Yeah, it's much more forced. Yeah.
I mean, like anything else, it's, you know, if somebody comes up to you and wants to be your friend, how much easier is it than when you make a decision, I want Robin to be my friend, what do I have to do to make that happen? I've got to work at it. But when someone's attracted to you because they hear, oh my God, Ted's a great guy. Oh my God, Ted helps people all the time. Ted tries to be good to people. Ted will tell it like it is. Like, people sometimes don't understand.
Yeah, I love that about you. I read your blogs. I think, man, that is exactly how it needed to be said.
Right. And also, like, people will sometimes call me out on be good to people, the hashtag I use, because they'll say, well, you're criticizing Donald Trump or you're criticizing somebody's business. And I'll be like, well, that's also being good to people, because that's being good to people that trust my opinion and that I care about. So, I like to say that social marketing has evolved from seeing who could gather the most likes and seeing who has the most on target fan base or advocate base is really more important. It's become a simple quality over quantity shift.
Yeah.
Measuring return relationships is not easy. It involves not only analyzing connection growth, but also measuring overall sentiment. But very often you can just see it in the different way that your customers react to you.
Yeah.
How they are when they walk in the store. How many people come in and say, Robin sent me, or so-and-so said that you always do a good job of helping out. I like to say that retail more than other things, but really retail has come full circle. It used to be that you went into your local store, the merchant knew you, he knew your family. He made good recommendations, because if you didn't, he knew you'd be back immediately to tell him that this sucked or it didn't work or it didn't fit. And you'd probably tell all your
friends.
And you knew all his customers. The mass merchandising came in, and women thought they could shop in hair colors, and nobody would even know it was them, and it became anonymous. But what they didn't realize is that stores and credit card companies have been tracking them since day one.
Yeah.
And they finally have recognized that, and now they're turning around the other way, and they're saying, I expect you to know me. I expect you to know what I care and I like about it. I expect you to make good if something doesn't work out for me. I mean, you remember the old days, you'd buy something, it didn't work, they'd say, too bad.
Yeah.
Now, it's very rare. Like, they might say that initially, like, too bad, but they won't I recently bought something from a scuba shop. And truthfully, I didn't buy it for scuba. I bought it for water skiing. And it didn't work well, but it stretched, and I only had it for a week. And I bring it back, and guys, well, you wore it. I'm like, man, I buy all my other. I know that you're just saying that, but I know you're.
Yeah, let's play this game, but I know where we're going to get to.
And I'm here to buy something else, and of course I did.
Yeah.
And that's because, but I think that it's not just those local stores anymore that have become that way. Online stores, major merchandisers. I mean, come on. You can say Amazon doesn't care, but they do. Why do you think they do such an amazing job with customer experience? Why do they take everything back without even thinking twice?
Correct.
Why do they give me my money back 5 minutes after the guy who picks it up to take it back leaves my door? Now, they could easily say, and it says right when you go to send it back, it might take a week until it's received. But the minute the guy plugs it into his computer, by the way, everybody can do that, but most don't. And even the ones that say, well, it would take a lot of work to do that, but that dollar investment they made to do that for me makes me buy from them even when it's more expensive, because I'd rather buy from them than from another merchant. Yeah.
And I think the small business, or small to medium businesses that have got a reasonable sized customer base, where do you think it's, I get this feedback a bit. I do some marketing consulting as well as the publishing business, and you get the feedback of, oh, that's great, I'd love to, but there's so many things I've got to do. I've got to be doing social media. I've got all these things to do. So, and it's really interesting that I've interviewed 3 what I think are icons in marketing: yourself, Rand Fishkin, who's the CEO of Moz, and Neil Patel.
Both of them are way smarter than I am.
Oh, no, not at all. You're all incredible. I follow you all, and I follow you closely because of what you say and how you deliver your content. And all of you have said the same message in a roundabout way about this delivering value and, basically what you're talking about, return on relationships. So how if a small business business owner or medium business owner is going, that's great, I agree with you, but how? You know, how do I do this to affect? You know, what's the best strategy you could say to them in their business? Generally, I know you don't know individual businesses, it's different, but is there a strategy they should consider?
You know, when I wrote the book, How to Look People in the Eye Digitally, the reason I wrote it is because we were all taught, and I would suppose maybe less so now, only because people aren't really looking people in the eye anymore. They're looking down at their devices.
Yeah.
But I'm sure when you were young, just like when I was young, and by the way, I'm not putting you, I'm much older than you are.
No, I'm all right with age.
I would guess that, you know, your parents gave you a talk about how you look people in the eye when you talk.
I've actually given my sons the same conversation. Yeah.
Right, and we all, it's a little bit harder now to teach it to our kids just because of what they're doing and the way a lot of people don't. But still, the best salespeople, the best communicators, the best leaders. You've heard the expression, like, I felt like I was the only person in the room. Yeah. There's a speaker named Chris Gardner. He's the guy that wrote it's his life story, In Pursuit of Happiness, with Will Smith.
Oh, yes, yes, yeah.
And I know, I'm very fortunate to know him very well. And he is a remarkable speaker. And he's this tall, good-looking, older guy with broad shoulders. And he dresses to the T. And he makes this great speech. And when it's done, people crowd around to speak to him. And whoever he's speaking to has 100% of his attention. It doesn't matter who it is. And I've seen people go up to him, the people that paid him to be there, going, Chris, we have to go. And he'll ignore them for a moment. And if they do it again, he'll look at them and go, excuse me, do you understand that I am talking to this person and you're being rude? Now, let me finish with who I'm talking to. And again, my dad and my mom was like, listen, I remember I was starting to date. And she said, if you look at her, you're not going to get a second date. If you look at who's walking in the door and you're looking up and trying to see if there's going on, you let her know that you're interested, whether you are or not, but be interested in what she's talking about or what she's doing. And then my dad had taught it to me a lot about when I went into business. And I'm going to ramble here for a moment, but I
love the stories.
taught me something, and this is what led to How to Look People in the Eye Digitally. But when I graduated college, it was 1980, long time ago. And there was no internet, and there was none of this stuff.
Yep.
And I remember I was hired in a sales job, and my job was to get appointments for myself. That was like my goal. And my dad calls me up at the end of the first week and says, did you get any appointments? And I said, yes. He goes, when? I said, Thursday. He goes, what time? I said, 10 o'clock. He goes, what time are you going to get there? I said, I don't know, about 10 to 10. He goes, no, get there at 9 o'clock. Walk around the neighborhood. See what restaurants are there, what businesses are there. Go into the building, look, on the board and see what companies are there. Walk around a little bit, get into the office, see if you can get into his or her office before the meeting and see what photos on the wall, what diplomas are on the wall, what you can find points of emotional connection. Everybody wants to know that you're paying attention and that you care about them. So if they're a grandparent, you mentioned being a grandparent, or if they're a boater or they're a hunter or whatever it happens to be. And it was a challenge then because there was no way to know anything until you walked in that door.
Yeah, you couldn't Google them.
Unless you were seeing like somebody who was incredibly well known. And even then, maybe there was one article in a magazine about them. And so you have to go early after your time. Now you have all this information at your fingertips. And I still see people walking into meetings totally oblivious. So Robin, what do you do for a living? And my favorite one is, I'm with a sales guy. I'm consulting for his company. He's in there talking, and the first question he asked the person he's meeting with is, so how long have you been here? Oh my God. You didn't look at
LinkedIn? Yeah.
And I would try to take them afterwards and say, let me tell you how that question could have been better.
Yeah.
You could say one of two things. Oh my God, you've been here for 20 years. There's so much you can teach me about this company. I'd love to learn. Or the person started 2 months ago. Wow, I noticed that you recently started. What can I do to support you in your new role? I mean, there's so many ways to use information. And I learned early on how important this information was and how looking people in the eye was more than just, now obviously you just met them, you go to a meeting or a get together, but also it's understanding a little bit about them. It's remembering from my dad taught me to take notes. I still, all my contact files have when I first met you, what we did, your first email that you sent me will be in there cut and pasted. If we spoke and I remembered something unique, or if it was at a conference, I'll write exactly where I met you, what the date was. And then when I meet somebody, I quickly refer back to it. And someone says, well, what if they see you? I go, when they see me, they go, you have information about me in there? Like, you saved that? Wow.
Yeah.
Or you just say, hey, Robin, like, oh my God, you live in a remote area of Australia and you're right near the beach. And you go like, wow, like you really paid attention when I was talking to you. So the How to Look People in the Eye digitally came about that I was watching everybody and they're clicking buttons and they're liking things and they're not talking, they're not paying attention, they're not calling people by name.
Yeah.
Dale Carnegie likes to say that. I like to say that the best social media book ever written was written in 1936, and it's called How to Win Friends and Influence People by Dale Carnegie. And one of the tips he gives in there is always call people by their name.
Yeah.
And there's no word in any language that's more beautiful to any person than the sound of their own name. So whenever I'm texting, whenever I'm writing, my first response will always include that person's name. It'll always say, hey, Robin, or Robin this, or obviously if it's a back and forth rapidly, I'm not going to
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. We've made friends by then.
Calling that was How to Look People in the Eye digitally, meaning how to do what I'm doing with you here right now.
Yeah.
But do it when you can't see that person, when it's on Facebook, when it's on Twitter, on Instagram, by repeating back things about them, by not just writing happy birthday on their birthday, but writing something personal, by engaging with them, by when they respond, oh my God, respond back. Really? Like how many people
I know.
ask questions and then never even look at how many people email me? I can't tell you how many people like you email me. Or I think it's your husband or your business partner who reached out to me.
Yeah, no, our editorial team. Yeah, our editorial team. Yeah, Tash. Yeah.
And then they never get back to me.
Yeah.
Hey, Ted, oh my God, we researched you, blah, 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 blah. We'd love to hear about return on relationship. Can you let me know sometimes you're available? Then you never even hear back because they did that to 50 people. Yeah. And a few people responded and they were already overfilled and they didn't bother. So write back and go, hey, we can't do that right now. But that's looking people in the eye digitally. That's responding to them. That's making them feel, back to the word value, that's making them feel valued by you. That's a little different. Adding value. It's showing someone that you value what they're doing.
Yeah, that's
especially medium businesses can do that by investing in the small things that allow you to know your customers' names, or even just being aware enough to say, oh, I've seen you here so many times before. Don't make like you know their name when you don't remember it. Say, can you remind me? I mean, everyone knows you're meeting hopefully a lot of customers, or you meet a lot of people. I ask people all the time, like, I'm really sorry, I don't remember your name. But now I can use their name for the rest of the conversation.
Correct. And embed the relationship.
And then hopefully, write it down or mark it somewhere. Or in today's day and age, even small businesses, there's so many tools available to be able to know who your customers are, or even put a note in the store. Put a sign up right in your store that says, "Tell me your name."
Yeah. Okay. Tell me your name and get 10%.
No, talk about it. Like, even if you're a customer, I get deals, I get upgrades, because when I'm at an airport, I call the person behind the desk by their name. I smile at them. I ask them how their day was. I don't start the conversation by, hey, can you upgrade me?
Yeah.
And usually I don't even ask. It gets volunteered. Whenever I travel, I wear either a shirt or a button that says, be good to people. And right away, people are nice.
Data, yeah.
Because if you're wearing something that says be good to people, I like to say you got to be a real dick if you're not. You automatically assume that you must be a good guy. And then live that. Get up, pick up people's things, help them lift a bag. Again, even in a business, carry people's stuff out to the car, help a mother with their child. Say something nice. There's a movie called American President. I don't know, with Michael Douglas.
Yep.
Okay. And Anne Bening.
Yeah.
Annette Bening.
I love her.
Annette Bening. And Michael Douglas is the president, and his wife died. So he hasn't dated yet. And he's going on his first date, and he's talking to his daughter before she goes, and she says, Dad, tell her you like her shoes. Girls like that. And he uses it. And she's like, and this is a sophisticated woman,
Yeah. She was pressing.
Everybody, I can tell you that everybody loves a compliment. I love your glasses. They really like, what a wonderful jacket. And again, this isn't the part where people say, oh, it's creepy, or, you're not saying, oh my God, you look gorgeous today. You're complimenting a choice they made. Yeah. Like what I always do for me, it's always something that I love your necklace. I love your jacket. What beautiful glasses. Oh, those glasses look great on you. But what you're doing is you're showing somebody you're focusing on.
Correct. You're interested.
I think anybody, you talk about having time. Everybody has time for that. If you make it a habit, if you do it all the time, then you don't have to think about it. When you have to think about something, it takes time. Somebody walks in, you go, oh, what am I going to do? But if you're always the one that compliments something or opens a door for them, and what I've learned is, these things for me over the years, that I open doors for people all the time. Sometimes I'm standing there holding it for 10 people because one comes by and another comes by. And every once in a while you get a nicer person who says, oh, let me get it. I go, no, I got it, and I'll just go, I'll take tips or I'll make a joke out of it. But when you do that automatically, like it's like, what does Stephen Covey say? And I'm not a big follower of his, but if you repeat things enough, it becomes habit.
Yeah.
I think it's Covey. It's one of those.
Yeah.
One of those.
Yeah.
And if you look at people's names, if you make a point of remembering them, if you write something down after you speak to somebody, if you open a door for somebody, if you compliment a customer, all these kinds of things, if you remember a little detail or always write down a little detail. I mean, I was the guy that always saved birthdays. Back before there was Facebook and all these reminders, I had a book, and over the holidays, you're off for like the Christmas week or something, I would always take my old date book, and I have them all, save them all. And I would go through it, and I would go through the new date book and put in all the birthdays. Then I would send a card or call the person. And then damn PDAs and Facebook came around and everybody started doing it. So now I write a quote always to somebody, and I personalize it. And I send it to everybody. And now what I've made a habit is, if you mention your husband's birthday or your child's birthday, I'll quickly note it down. Like, oh, Ted, I got to run. It's my daughter's birthday tonight. I'll go, oh my God, birthday. And
it's so powerful.
Very casually, I'll say, what's her name? And you'll go, oh, it's Lori. Thanks for asking. And then I write down. The next year I go, oh, happy birthday to Lori. And nobody doesn't react. Oh my God. Like, how did you remember my daughter's birthday?
Yeah.
As a baby, you get that announcement. They give you all the information in the email. I cut and paste it, and I put it in my calendar. That old repeating calendar.
Yeah.
Everyone go, how did you remember that? And I'm like, really?
And you have no excuse now. I mean, even when I was interviewing Neil Patel, he mentioned that he had a 1-month-old daughter. So straight away, I took a note and sent him a gift from Australia with naturally not to gain anything, just because he was so excited and I was excited for him. It's a lovely time in his life to have a 1-month-old. And it's investing in that relationship with no expectation of return other than a human relationship that forms, that one day you just don't know where it might go. And I'm not expecting anything. If I never speak to the gentleman again, it left him with a nice feeling of, I've thought of him as a human.
Do for others without an expectation of anything directly in return, and you will get a return.
Yeah.
I get people that offer to do things for me online all the time. They want to translate things to Spanish, and sometimes I'll say, I don't have a budget for that. And they'll go, well, I'll just do it for you. And I'm like, why? They go, well, you seem to do things for a lot of people. Why wouldn't I want to do something for you?
Yeah, and actually this ties in beautifully. I probably don't need to ask this question now, but you talk about a lot in your blogs, and this philosophy is so... I follow this philosophy myself, and I really believe in the giver's gain philosophy. And it's funny, the analogies, I say it when I've ever done any speaking events, that marketing to me is like dating. My husband, when I first met my husband, and you talk about complimenting, I'd met him a year before, and this is the second time I'd seen him in a year, and he said, your hair's different to when I saw you last. And that was like, you had me at hello. The fact that man recognized that I'd changed my hair after not seeing him for a year, I'm thinking, wow, this guy's something special. And so I think, you talk about the giver's gain philosophy, and this is really what you're talking about, aren't you? Is that you just give without expectation, be in people's,
Yes. I like to say, like them before they like you.
Yeah, I love that.
The brand, and especially the small business owner, has more incentive to be liked than the customer. Success and perhaps survival is on the line. There's a powerful need to be proactive about creating relationships. Don't wait for customers or prospects to like you. Like them first. There's no lazy way out of this, folks. If you want the eyes and ears of consumers focused on you, then develop what you were just talking about, a giver's gain philosophy. Developing fruitful relationships in social channels or anywhere else for that matter requires a willingness to give before you receive and continue giving throughout. When our intent is right and our actions aren't clearly self-serving, we have an opportunity to inspire people to like us. With so much noise in the marketplace, I think you mentioned that earlier, and plenty of murky intent, and brands and small business owners who take this approach will be noticeably different from their competitors. It will make them stand out. The world of customers and prospects that would be happy to like and advocate for your brand if you just open up to taking the first step.
Yeah.
You know, and if you don't mind, I have a few suggestions.
Yeah,
you know,
I'd love to hear them. Love. I've got my pen ready, even though we're recording. I love writing notes.
Well, you know, we've covered a lot of this. You know, get to know your customers, you know, your prospects by actively listening to them. And by the way, listen to them when they're in the store. Listen to them on social channels. Like you say you don't have time for social, but you have the money to spend on research. How about just going to the page of some of your customers or the people in your neighborhood, if you're a local small business, and see what they're talking about. What's going on in the town? What's important to them? You know, where is their advocacy going? You know, reach out to others without waiting for them to reach out to you first. Contribute to conversations where you can provide value, not a sales pitch. If you see something going on, don't jump in and say, hey, I can solve that. I got this product that'll be perfect. Talk about something that they might not know or some information about those products that can be valuable to them. You know, there's this old movie called Miracle on 34th Street. You might know.
Yeah, I do. Yeah.
Holiday movie, and there's a scene, you know, where the Santa is doing these crazy things, and he tells a Macy's customer to go to Gimbels. Now, people in your audience probably won't know this, not only being from Australia, but it being so many years, but years and years and years ago, Macy's and Gimbels were the two huge department stores in New York. And they competed head to head. And here is this Santa in Macy's sending people to Gimbels because either there's a better price or a better product. And the lower level managers freaked out. They wanted to fire the guy. And the owner of the place said, oh my God, we are going to stand out as being above the fray because we're more concerned for our customers than we are for their needs. And the other store got so angry that they wanted to send people back to them. Because they're like this battle of the mind. So always be thinking of ways to help others solve problems. Introduce people when it's appropriate without expectation of anything in return. Be, you know, especially local small businesses. You're part of a chamber. Help other people. Don't just always be there selling for yourself. Introduce people, you know, when it's appropriate. Be genuine in your responses. Don't expect reciprocation, but always strive to give it when someone reaches out to you. You know, social media especially, you know, you can do this. Obviously, you can do this in your town. You can do this locally. You can do this at meetings. But social media gives you the ability to do it 24/7 to a much bigger world. And when it's done right, it takes, you know, it takes lots of time and effort, just like managing expense reports, booking travel, and ordering supplies, but it's what will make it work for you. You know, those who take themselves out of the equation.
I love that quote.
Of others can expect a better return on relationship, and beyond that,
love that quote. Yeah,
better business.
Love that. I think if that's the takeaway, that line, you know, I think that I've written it down. I wrote in the notes, great quote, because it's just such a powerful, you know, you've got to take yourself out of the equation. And I think that's a challenge. You know, in my past life and still now, I consult to businesses and, you know, I said to them, what are you doing to thank your customer? I mean, it astounds me that, you know, and I actually saw there's an influencer in Australia who's a comedian, and she gets on stage, and I saw her do something on Instagram where she said yesterday she does a big show, and she took a photo of the audience, and she said, and this wasn't to the, you know, individual people in the audience, but it kind of felt like it was. She wrote it really well, and she said, I know how much it took for you to get here, because her audience is predominantly women with children. That's her sort of niche. And she said, I know that you had to book a babysitter, organize your life, you know, get your hair done, you know, get the girls together. I understand what it took for you to be here. I understand what it took for you to be here. So thanks. And I thought that's what, you know, I said to, you know, people, business owners all the time, hairdresser, do you understand what it takes for me to find 2 hours to sit in your salon? Why aren't you rubbing my hands, rolling out the red carpet, you know, and I come back every 6 weeks and there's no, you know, like, why aren't you thanking me? You know? I
tell marketers all the time that they have to take off their marketer's hat sometimes and think of themselves as the customer.
Yeah.
You know, sometimes I'll be in these meetings and I'll look at them, I'm like, would that be okay with you? They're like, well, absolutely. And they start talking again. Like, Mario, no, would that be okay with you if you were buying this product?
Yeah.
Would you that? You know, you've got to put on the customer's hat and put yourself in their shoes.
Yeah.
And say, wow, we appreciate you, or we're going to help you, or we're going to do something for you, or whatever those things happen to be. Look, one of the things I talk about is trying to see things from other people's perspectives. And I use quite a lot when it comes to politics. And, you know what's going on in this country.
Yeah,
right
we sure do. We're very aware of what's going on.
I gotta tell you, I'm like steps away from moving to Australia.
Well, we're all baffled. We're all sort of going.
But what I try very hard to do is I need to understand their thinking. And by the way, it's easy for me to go, and I do this a lot. Oh my God. I don't know how these people support this guy. But then I try to read as much as I can on the psychology behind why they do. Yeah. It's because I can't think like them. I can't understand, and then the other side of it is, and this goes to politics too. When people sometimes give me a hard time and they go, oh my God, Ted, you're saying this stuff. Nobody cares. You're never going to change someone's mind. I go, I'm really not trying to change someone's mind. Number one is I'm saying how I feel because I think it's important. But number two is I'm trying to rally like-minded people. Yeah. Too many people go, oh, what the hell? Oh, it'll pass. Oh, it doesn't matter. But if it's important, I try to rally. There's always people that are in the middle, and I'm trying to rally those people. So in other words, again, another tip to small business, don't just pick that demographic of people that you're never going to get. Yeah. Understand who the low-hanging fruit is. Understand who the people you add the most value to. Focus on them. Too often I see small and medium businesses, they look at that now, oh, well, there's 8 million buyers, and if we could only get, and then they're going after people that they have no business going after, or worse yet, they're marketing to the people that they already have. How many ads do you get for brands that you buy every day? I've been a Chase customer since college, 40 years, and they still send me advertisements all the time in this day and age. Why are they wasting money and trying to tell me when they already have me? Yeah. Take that money and deliver me a better customer experience so I don't leave.
Thank me and reward me and nurture me. Yeah. Yeah, it's so true.
But that's why you have to put on the customer's hat.
Yeah, I think that's the most basic of basic things. I mean, I did some consulting yesterday. I was asked to go and speak it, and all we did was avatar. Who are your customer? Really, who are they, though? None of this, we can get caught up in statistics, and that's great. But really, yes, you can give me demographic profiling of, this is a social media company, so they've got all the statistics. But let's talk about who they are. Like, what gets them out of bed? What makes them cry? What makes them laugh? Like, and I've worked with another group, and the two marketing girls were awesome. They were enthusiastic, and they were young marketers that you wanted to see all the greatest technology. But when we ran through who is the customer, they'd be like, Robin, what do you think of this? Robin, do you like this? And it's like, it doesn't matter if I like it.
Oh my God, if I hear that, if I'm in one more meeting where a 45-year-old guy says he doesn't like something or wouldn't buy it, and I'm trying to sell it to a 25-year-old girl, I'm going to shoot myself. I look at them, I go, who cares?
Yeah, we don't care whether you like it.
And why are we talking to 25-year-old girls who only live in the New York City area, who are not our customer, who goes to Walmart in the Midwest? And by the way, Walmart is their favorite brand because that's where they hang out. Yeah. And instead you are and by the way, I love these girls. They're great. They're smart, but they've never been outside of the New York tri-state area, or never lived in a family where they have to worry about adding oatmeal to the meatloaf to make it go further. But that's who they're trying to sell their $3.
I know, and this is the challenge I had with these people.
Why aren't these people in the room? Now, the company that I was a partner in that got acquired was a company called Collective Bias, and what we did is we created content using moms who actually use the product.
Yeah.
And we had them in their voice speaking to the customer.
Yeah.
And it wasn't about giving them money as an influencer. It was about writing about their true experiences.
Yeah, but it all comes back to what you're talking about, which is return on relationships. You can't have a relationship with somebody if you don't know who they are. So it starts with that.
I better myself. It all comes back to return on relationships.
Yeah, it really does. It really does.
Especially in this day and age. I love when, I say to people, it's all about relationships. They go, well, hasn't it always been? The expression is, it's not what you know, it's who you know. It's been around forever. Yep. The difference now is it's 24/7, 7 days a week. You never have to leave your bedroom to create these relationships, so you can do them at scale. And more importantly, everybody that you have a relationship has a relationship with somebody else. I like to say that audiences have audiences, and everybody influences somebody.
Yeah, and there's no excuse now. I mean, it's funny. I got a letter from a telephone provider over here called Telstra, and they were trying. I mean, they're a huge company, and it was a personalised at the front on the envelope. So they got really fancy, and on the outside it had my surname first and then my last name. So it said, "Hi there, Gifters Robin. And then the letter said, and I thought, oh my God, I took a photo and I'll use it in some social just to say, look, it's great. At least they tried. But wow, in this day and age, just get that bit right. Like, forget my last name, because none of my friends call me by my last name anyway. It's Robin. You can call me Robin. If we're trying to form a relationship, just say hi, Robin. You don't need to use my, it's not even my surname. It's my husband's surname, So anyway, it was just I thought, you're trying, but you've just dropped the ball. And now you're making me feel like I'm mass produced, unfortunately, when you were trying to make it personal. But, I say to clients all the time, just put my name in the email somewhere. So say hi, Robin, but then further down say, so Robin, it does it all for you. It's automatic, just that one touch. And
Absolutely.
It's just those relationships. But I've really enjoyed this chat. The value you've given to anyone that's going to be watching this is remarkable. And I think anyone should follow you, because I get a lot of gold out of what you talk about, and it's appreciated. The content that you provide is invaluable. And I think, we can all get busy, but this stuff is where we need to invest, is these return on relationships, I think and as I said to you, I've interviewed other people in this space who may not call it that, but effectively the message was the same. Invest in the relationships and be of value to people. And I think then you'll see the return on investment that that they're all looking for. So I really appreciate the chat. I'm heading over to the US at the end of the year, so maybe we'll be able to get together. I'll pop over and see you and have a coffee.
I would love to do that. I'd like to leave your audience with one last line.
I love it. Anything.
That I think kind of brings it all together. I say that relationships are like muscle tissue. The more you engage them, the stronger and more valuable they become. And if that's a takeaway that they can take with them, I think it's something that you can put into effect with everything you do.
Fantastic. It's been lovely to talk to you. I really appreciate your time. And thanks again for being patient with getting the interview time sorted.